The sky of Orient was on fire. Smoke rose from broken cities. Sound of screams mixed with the thunder of falling buildings. Princess Alira stood on the royal tower, her silver eyes filled with fear. Her world was dying. For thousands of years, Orient had been a peaceful planet. Its people lived in harmony with nature. Beautiful cities made of glowing crystals and floating gardens. But now, all that peace was gone. A dark enemy had arrived. Monsters made of shadow and ash. No one knew where they came from. They had no ships, no voices, no mercy. The royal army fought bravely. Their swords, lasers, and magic tools did nothing. Every strike passed through the creatures as if they were smoke. The monsters destroyed everything in their path. Cities fell one by one. Hope was fading. Alira's father, the king, had already died in battle. Now she was the last hope of Orient. But what could a young princess do against such power? She watched as her people were pushed back to the last city, Zara, the capital of Orient. Inside the war chamber, generals argued, "We must surrender." One shouted, "No. We fight until death," yelled another. Alira said nothing. She stared at a strange screen on the wall. It was an ancient device from the time of the stars. It had not worked in centuries, but now it blinked out a signal from deep space, far away. It's on a quiet space station near the edge of the galaxy. A man sat alone. His name was Sergeant Kyle Rayner. He was a sniper from Earth, once known as the best, but now he was tired, haunted. He had left Earth years ago, after a mission went wrong. People died. He never forgave himself. The signal came to him, strange, broken, full of static. But one part was clear. They're coming. Only your bullet can stop them. He played it again. Then again. He didn't know who sent it, or why. But something deep inside him whispered, "Go." Kyle grabbed his old sniper rifle, a long, silver weapon built for one shot, one kill. He packed a few supplies, checked his suit, and launched his ship toward Orient. Back on Orient, night fell. The monsters gathered outside Zayyo's gates. Their numbers were endless. The city lights flickered. The people cried in silence. Alira stood on the tower again, her heart heavy. Suddenly, a small ship entered the sky. It moved fast and low. It landed outside the city wall, near the forests. No one knew it had arrived. Kyle stepped out. He looked at the smoke in the air, the broken towers in the distance. He had seen war, but this was different. It felt wrong, cold, empty. He moved through the ruins, slow and quiet. He found a hilltop and set up his sniper rifle. He scanned the area, then he saw it, a group of soldiers running from the shadows. Behind them, a monster huge and dark, its eyes burning red. The soldiers were going to die. Kyle took a deep breath, aimed, bang. The bullet flew through the air, shining with a strange light. It hit the creature in the head. There was no blood. Instead, the monster exploded in a burst of black mist, screaming as it vanished into nothing. The soldiers stopped, shocked, confused. High above, Princess Alira watched it all through a crystal scope. Her heart stopped. "What was that?" she whispered. Another monster charged, another shot fired, another explosion of black mist. The enemy panicked. For the first time, they backed away. Down below, Kyle moved like a ghost, shooting one by one. Every shot was perfect. Every monster that touched his bullet disappeared forever. Alira called her guards. "Find him," she ordered. "The man with the silver weapon." The guards looked at each other. "Why?" She turned toward them, her voice strong now. "Because that human just saved Zaira, Abi, in that one night." The war changed, not because of an army, not because of a king, but because of one man, a sniper from Earth. The city of Zaira was quiet. For the first time in days, there were no attacks, no screams, no smoke in the air. People walked through the broken streets, looking up at the sky with hope. They had all heard the news. One bullet from an unknown human had destroyed the shadow creatures. Inside the royal palace, Princess Alira sat in silence. Her mind was full of questions. Who is he? She asked the royal guards. Where did he come from? What weapon did he use? The guards didn't have answers. All they knew was that the mysterious human had arrived alone. He had no army, no flag, no name. Alira stood up. Find him, she ordered. Bring him to me, but do not treat him as an enemy. He may be the reason we're still alive. Far outside the city walls, Sergeant Kyle Rayner sat near an old, broken tower. He cleaned his sniper rifle carefully, checking each part. His hands were steady. His eyes were sharp. He had no interest in being a hero. He had come only because of the signal. That strange message still echoed in his mind. They're coming. Only your bullet can stop them. He didn't know who sent it. He didn't care. All he knew was that his weapon worked against the shadows, and now he was the only one who could fight them. Suddenly, he heard footsteps. He turned fast, rifle in hand. A group of alien soldiers stood before him. Their armor was silver and black, glowing slightly in the night. Their weapons pointed at him. Put down your gun, one said. Kyle didn't move. If I wanted you dead, he said calmly, you'd be on the ground already. The soldiers paused. They could feel it. He wasn't lying. From behind them, a tall, alien woman stepped forward. She was older, with wise eyes and markings on her face. She bowed her head slightly. The princess wishes to meet you, she said. Will you come with us? Kyle stared for a moment. Then he stood and picked up his rifle. Lead the way. Back at the palace, Alira stood in the throne room. She had changed into formal royal robes, her crown glowing softly under the crystal lights. Her heart beat fast. She had seen many warriors in her life, but this human was different. When Kyle walked in, the guards stiffened. His steps were slow, quiet, confident. He wore a black suit, scratched from battle. His face was calm, eyes cold, focused. Alira stepped forward. You saved my people, she said. Kyle nodded. I did what I could. What is your name? She asked. Kyle, Sergeant Kyle Rayner. Earth Sniper. Earth, Alira whispered. We've heard stories of your world, warriors of precision, of power, but none have visited Orion in centuries. Kyle said nothing. She looked at his weapon. What is this gun? Why does it destroy the creatures when nothing else works? Kyle looked at the rifle. I don't know. It's old, but something changed. It wasn't like this before. When I fired the first shot here, it felt different. Like the bullet was alive. Alira stepped closer. Do you understand what this means? Maybe the key to saving all of us? Kyle looked at her. I'm just a soldier. I don't want to be a hero. You already are, she said softly. Later that night, in the war chamber, the royal council gathered. Lyra explained everything Kyle had said. Some were amazed. Others were angry. This human is dangerous. One general shouted. He could be a spy. He saved Sayira, Alira replied. Would a spy do that? Another general asked. Why is his weapon so powerful? What if it falls into the wrong hands? Lyra raised her hand. Enough. He stays under royal protection. No one is to harm him. Outside the palace, people whispered stories. A human came from the stars. He shoots light from his hands. He's the shadow killer. But Kyle didn't care about the stories. He sat alone on the palace balcony, staring at the stars. He missed Earth. He missed the quiet mountains where he trained. But most of all, he missed his team. They had died in a mission gone wrong. That memory still burned inside him. Alira quietly walked up behind him. You don't sleep? She asked. Kyle shook his head. Not much. She sat beside him. Why did you come? Kyle looked up at the stars. Because someone asked for help, and I couldn't say no. Lyra nodded. Your bullet saved a city, but the war is not over. Kyle looked at her, his voice steady. Then show me where to aim next. Inside the royal lab of Zaira, scientists gathered around a small table. On it lay a single bullet, long, silver, and glowing faintly with blue light. This was no ordinary weapon. It was the bullet Sergeant Kyle Rayner had used to kill the shadow creature. The lead scientist, Master Thalos, carefully touched the bullet with a metal probe. Soon as it made contact, the bullet reacted. It pulsed with energy, and symbols began to appear across its surface. Strange symbols, not Orions, and not human either. Princess Alira watched from behind the glass wall. What do the symbols mean? She asked. Talos shook his head. They are not written by any known race. It's like the bullet is alive. It holds something inside, not just metal, but memory. Alira looked toward Kyle, who stood silently in the corner, arms crossed. He had seen many weapons in his life, but none like this. His rifle, the one he had carried for years, had never done anything like this before coming to Orion. This is impossible, Thalos whispered. Your gun doesn't just shoot bullets, it shoots knowledge, data, a message, locked in fire. Alira stepped forward. Can we read the message? Talos nodded slowly. I will try. Later that night, the scientists placed the bullet inside a decoding device built long ago by Orion's ancient engineers. Lights flickered, the room filled with a soft hum. Then, suddenly, a voice played. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien. It was something else. If you are hearing this, you have touched the blood of the first war. The enemy has returned. Only the weapon of memory can stop them. Everyone froze. Kyle stepped closer. First war. What war? The voice continued. Passed from hand to hand, through time and stars. This bullet remembers. It chooses its sniper. It learns from the dead. It carries the one shot that matters. Kyle's heart beat faster. The bullet had chosen him. Alira looked at him. Your weapon is not just a tool. It's a piece of history, a living memory. Kyle thought back to his first shot on Orion, the way it felt, the strange calm before he fired. It all made sense now. The bullet was more than metal. It was part of something older, something watching, something guiding days past. Kyle stayed in the palace, watched closely by guards and scientists. He didn't mind. He had questions too. He began training some of Alira's best soldiers, teaching them how to move, aim, and fight like humans. But none of them could fire the gun. They tried. The weapon refused them. It only responded to Kyle's hands. It's bonded with you, Talos explained. The gun knows its master. Lyra spent more time with Kyle. They sat in the gardens at night, looking at the stars. Do you believe in fate? She asked once. Kyle shrugged. I didn't, but now, maybe. She smiled softly. I think the bullet came to Orion for a reason. It brought you here. Kyle didn't reply. But inside, he felt it too. A strange pull. Like this planet had been waiting for him. One evening, a group of elders from the mountains arrived. They were the keepers of lore, the guardians of ancient stories. When they saw the bullet and heard the voice inside it, they fell silent. Then one elder spoke. This is not the first time these shadow creatures have come. Long ago, before even the stars were born, they attacked, but they were stopped by a sniper from the blue planet. Everyone turned to Kyle. The blue planet? Lyra asked. The elder nodded. Earth, your world. Kyle was shocked. That's not possible. It is, the elder replied. You are the second. Kyle stared at his rifle. Was it the same weapon, passed down through time? The elder looked at him deeply. The first sniper gave his life to stop the darkness. Now, The bullet remembers. It waits for a new hand. And it has chosen you. A heavy silence filled the room. That night, Kyle sat alone in the weapon chamber. He held the rifle in his lap, staring at its surface. The metal was warm, almost breathing. "You carry more than a bullet," he whispered. "You carry a promise." Suddenly, the rifle glowed. A blue light ran through it. Kyle saw visions, flashes of old battles, planets destroyed, soldiers lost in space, and always a sniper standing alone, aiming into the darkness. He saw himself. Alira walked in and saw the light. She didn't speak. She just watched. Kyle finally looked up. "They're not just monsters," he said. "They're a memory, a curse, and I'm the cure." Alira nodded. "Then we must prepare, because the shadows will return." Kyle stood, loading a new bullet into the rifle. "And next time," he said, "I'll be ready." The palace of Zaira stood tall under the moonlight. Its towers sparkled like stars, and the guards at every gate stood alert. But tonight, something dark had entered the heart of the kingdom. Unknown to anyone, a shadow had slipped past the walls. It moved silently, like smoke in the wind. It had no shape, no eyes, no voice, only a mission. And that mission was to kill the human. Inside the palace, Sergeant Kyle Rayner sat alone in his private chamber. He was cleaning his rifle, checking the scope. The memories of the bullet's message still echoed in his mind. The weapon was old, powerful, alive, and now it was part of him. But something felt wrong. He stood up and looked out the window. The night air was still, too still. His fingers touched the trigger gently, and without a word, he loaded a fresh bullet into the rifle. Meanwhile, Princess Alira was in the royal library, reading ancient scrolls with the help of the palace historian. She was trying to learn more about the first war. The bullet had spoken of the war fought by the first human sniper. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the halls. A guard burst into the library. His armor was cut, and blood dripped from his shoulder. "Princess, we're under attack. It's a creature. It's inside." Before he could say more, something grabbed him from behind and pulled him into the shadows. Alira screamed. In the corridor, darkness moved like a snake. The creature had taken the form of a human, slim, fast, and nearly invisible. It could walk through walls and slip past doors. Its eyes were black as coal, and its claws were long and sharp. It wasn't just any shadow, it was an assassin sent by the enemy. Its target was clear: eliminate the human sniper before he could destroy more of its kind. Kyle was already moving. He grabbed his rifle, strapped it to his back, and stepped into the hallway. His instincts kicked in. He saw two guards lying on the floor, silent, no signs of struggle. He crouched down and touched the wall. It was cold. "It's too cold." "They're here," he muttered. Suddenly, a loud scream came from the library. "Alira!" Kyle ran without thinking. He turned the corner and saw the door burst open. The shadow assassin stepped out, holding a glowing blade made from pure darkness. Kyle raised his rifle. Bang! The bullet hit the creature's arm. The shadow hissed and pulled back, black mist pouring from its wound. But it didn't die. It turned toward Kyle and charged. Kyle dived to the side, rolled, and fired again. This time, the bullet hit its chest. The assassin shrieked and vanished into the air. Kyle stood up, breathing hard. The air around him was heavy, like something was still watching. Alira rushed out of the library, guarded by two soldiers. "You're safe," Kyle said. "No," Alira whispered, her face pale. "There's more." In the throne room, two more assassins had appeared. They moved quickly, killing guards without sound. The royal court had no chance to fight back. The queen was rushed to a safe room, but others weren't so lucky. The royal alarm echoed across the palace. Bells rang. More soldiers arrived, but the creatures were fast, and normal weapons were useless. Then came a single shot, and another. Kyle had reached the throne room. He didn't stop moving. Every bullet from his rifle found its mark. Each shot burned with energy from the ancient war. The assassins screamed as their bodies turned to ash. When the last creature was gone, silence fell again. Smoke floated through the broken windows. Blood stained the crystal floors. Dozens of guards had fallen. Alira walked slowly into the room. Her eyes filled with tears, but her face was strong. "You saved us again," she said. Kyle looked down. Not everyone. He saw a young soldier lying nearby. He had tried to protect the court with a simple blade. He never had a chance. Alira touched Kyle's arm gently. "You can't save them all, but you saved me. And if I die, this world dies too." Kyle didn't answer. He stared at the rifle in his hands. The bullet was more than a weapon. It was a curse. That night, the royal engineers sealed the palace with new energy shields. No one would enter again without being seen. But Kyle couldn't sleep. He stood on the tower, staring at the stars. The wind was cold. The sky above was clear, but something darker was coming. Alira joined him quietly. "They won't stop, will they?" she asked. "No," Kyle said. "They know who I am now, and they're afraid." "Why?" she asked. Kyle looked at her, his voice low. "Because I'm the only one who can kill them." Alira's eyes narrowed. "Then we fight together." Kyle nodded, gripping his rifle tight. "They sent assassins to stop me. Next time, they'll send something worse." He looked into the distance, his eyes like steel. "And I'll be ready." The stars above Orion shone brightly, but the palace felt colder than ever. After the attack, guards stood at every corner. Energy shields glowed over the walls. Inside the palace tower, Sergeant Kyle Rayner sat in silence. His rifle rested beside him, glowing faintly in the dark. He hadn't slept in 2 days. He closed his eyes and suddenly, he saw something. A battlefield, not on Orion, but somewhere else. Another planet, another time. He stood in the middle of burning ruins, wearing the same armor, holding the same rifle. Soldiers screamed around him, fighting against shadow beasts, just like the ones on Orion. He turned. A giant portal opened in the sky. From it, darkness poured out. A voice echoed in his head. "You've done this before? You were chosen before." Kyle opened his eyes with a gasp. His body was shaking. He looked at the rifle beside him. "Who was I?" he whispered. The next morning, Princess Alira entered the tower. She saw Kyle staring at the stars. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said. "I think I did," he replied softly. He told her about the dream, about the battlefield, the shadows, the portal. Alira's face turned pale. "The keepers must hear this," she said. That afternoon, Alira and Kyle visited the Chamber of Echoes, deep beneath the palace. There, the keepers of lore waited Danient, aliens who remembered every story. Every war, Kyle showed them his rifle. He told them about the visions. One of the elders, an old alien named Eleron, stepped forward. He placed his hand on the rifle. It glowed with a bright blue light. "I have felt this before," Eleron whispered. "Thousands of years ago." Everyone listened closely. "There was once a war, long before your Earth was young," the elder said. The shadows came through. The stars, hungry for life. Many worlds fell. One world stood against them, a planet of humans. They were strong, fearless, and brilliant warriors. Kyle raised an eyebrow. "Earth, yes," the elder nodded. "But this was not your time. This was before time. One of those warriors was a sniper, a legend. He used a weapon just like yours. He faced the shadows, alone." "What happened to him?" Lyra asked. "No one knows," Eleron said. "He vanished, but he left his weapon behind, and the weapon remembers." Kyle stepped back, confused. "You're saying I'm him?" Eleron smiled sadly. "Not exactly, but something from him lives in you, a part of his soul, his memories, maybe even his fate. That night, Kyle sat with his rifle again. He ran his fingers along the metal. It was warm, almost alive. The rifle's energy pulsed softly. Then, a voice whispered in his mind, "You carry my burden now." He saw flashes again, visions of the ancient sniper standing alone, firing the final shot that closed the first portal. Then he saw himself firing the same shot, in the same way. The next morning, Kyle told Alira everything. "I think I'm not just a soldier," he said. "I think I'm a piece of something older, a shadow of someone who fought before." Lyra looked at him, calm but serious. "Maybe that's why the bullet chose you. Not because of what you are, because of what you carry inside." Kyle nodded. Suddenly, a guard rushed into the room. "Your Highness, the shadows, they're gathering again." Lyra stood at once. "Where?" "Near the old temple," the guard replied. "And they're building something." Kyle picked up his rifle. "It's a portal," he said coldly. "I saw it in my dream." Alira looked at him. "Then we stop them before it opens." Kyle nodded. "But this time, I need more than one shot." That night, Kyle entered the royal armory. The engineers had been working hard, using parts from his weapon. They had created new bullets, smaller, but still powerful. Each one carried a tiny piece of the original's energy. Kyle looked at the new ammo and then at his old rifle. "This time," he said, loading the clip, "they'll see what a human sniper can really do." Alira stood beside him, wearing new battle armor. "You're not alone anymore," she said. He smiled slightly. "Let's finish what the first sniper started." As they walked out into the night, toward the rising shadows and the growing darkness, the stars above Orion burned brighter, because this war was not just about saving a planet. It was about remembering the past and making sure it never returned. Dark clouds covered the sky. The ground near the old temple shook. Strange lights flashed in the air. The shadow creatures were building something large, dark, and spinning in the sky. It was a portal, princess. Alira stood on the hill with her soldiers. Her heart beat fast. "If that portal opens," she said, "more shadows will come. Thousands won't survive." Beside her, Sergeant Kyle Rayner stared through the scope of his rifle. His eyes were calm, but his hands were tight around the weapon. "I've seen this before," he said, "in my visions. This is how it began. ... long ago." Lyra turned to him. "Can we stop it?" Kyle looked at the portal, then at a strange energy spinning above it. "Yes," he said, "but it will take a perfect shot, a shot right through the heart of the portal core." The wind blew harder. Lightning struck nearby. Shadow creatures began to roar. There wasn't much time. Kyle moved into position. He climbed the highest tower of the temple ruins. From there, he had a clear shot. He lay flat, aimed his rifle, and adjusted the scope. Suddenly, a deep growl echoed behind him. Kyle rolled to the side, just in time. A shadow beast jumped from the darkness. It had been waiting for him. He fired. One shot, the creature exploded in black mist, but he was already bleeding. The creature's claws had cut into his side. He pressed a cloth to the wound. Blood poured through his fingers, but he didn't stop. He crawled back to the rifle and aimed again, down below. Lyra watched with fear. "He's hurt," she said. "He won't make it," a guard shouted. "We have to pull him back." Alira shook her head. "If he doesn't take the shot, we all die." She ran toward the tower. Up top, Kyle's vision was fading. His hands were cold. He couldn't breathe properly. But the rifle began to glow. Bright blue light ran through the metal. Then, a voice whispered inside his head. "You were chosen for this. One shot, one chance." He loaded the bullet, the last of the ancient kind. He aimed at the spinning core of the portal. Shadows flew all around it. His finger touched the trigger. Suddenly, the tower shook. More beasts were coming. He turned to shoot, but his hand dropped, too weak. Then, someone grabbed him. Alira. She had reached him. "You're not doing this alone," she said, holding the rifle steady with him. He looked at her, barely conscious. "You know how to shoot." She smiled. "You taught me, remember?" Together, they aimed. The portal pulsed. The core began to open. A giant creature was coming through. Kyle focused. Alira whispered, "Now." Bang. The bullet flew through the air. Time seemed to slow. The shadows turned toward it, as if they could feel death coming. The bullet hit the portal core. There was a flash of white light. A loud scream filled the sky, the scream of every shadow being at once. Then, silence. The portal broke apart. The dark energy vanished. The sky turned clear again. The shadow creatures on the ground collapsed, melting into smoke. Alira looked around in shock. "We did it." But Kyle didn't answer. He lay still. His chest barely moved. "No, no, stay with me," she cried. She held him in her arms. "Kyle, open your eyes." His lips moved. "I kept promise." Then everything went dark. Days passed. The people of Orion celebrated. The shadows were gone. The world was safe, but the hero who saved them was gone. Or so they thought. In a quiet chamber under the palace, Master Talos, the royal scientist, worked beside a glowing table. On it lay Kyle's body, quiet, pale, but alive. The bullets' energy had entered his blood. It was repairing him, not just healing his wounds, but changing him. When Kyle finally opened his eyes, they glowed, faint blue dot. Lost smiled. "Welcome back, sniper." Later, Alira walked into the chamber. She froze when she saw Kyle sitting up. "You're alive." He smiled weakly. "Told you I wouldn't leave without saying goodbye." She rushed to him and hugged him tightly. Tears fell from her eyes. "You're not leaving at all. Not this time." Kyle looked at his rifle, now quiet and silver again. "I think my mission's not over," he said. "There's more out there. More shadows. More portals." Alira nodded. "Then, let's face them together." He looked into her eyes. "Death came for me," he said, "but destiny stood in the way." A few weeks passed since the battle near the old temple. The skies over Orion were clear now. The cities were rebuilding. Flowers bloomed again where the shadows once ruled. People smiled, laughed, lived. But Sergeant Kyle Rayner knew something was wrong. Even after the portal was destroyed, he could still feel them. The shadows, waiting, watching in the royal chamber. Princess Alira stood with her council. "Our people think the war is over," one elder said. "But it's not," Alira replied softly. "Kyle says more portals exist, hidden across the stars." They turned to Kyle, who stood near the window, holding his rifle. He spoke quietly. "The bullet didn't just destroy the portal, it showed me things. Visions, other worlds, the gates." He looked at Alira. "If we don't stop them all, they'll return, stronger." That night, Kyle sat alone under the stars. The wind was cool, the sky peaceful. But his mind was full of noise. The rifle beside him began to glow again. A soft voice echoed inside it. "One bullet remains. One chance to end it all." His eyes widened. "What do you mean?" he asked, but the voice faded. Only silence remained. The next morning, Master Talos called Alira and Kyle to the lab. "I've discovered something," Delos said. "There's one final bullet hidden inside your weapon." He showed them the core of the rifle. Inside it, glowing like a small star, was a golden bullet. "It's not like the others," Talos explained. "This one holds all the memory, all the energy. If fired at the source, it could destroy every shadow gate in the universe." Alira stepped back. The source? Talos nodded. The first shadow, the one that created them all. Kyle's jaw tightened. Where is it? Talos looked at him with fear. At the center of the galaxy, a place called the Hollow Sun. They prepared a ship, not a warship, just a fast, quiet vessel designed to travel deep into space. Alira stood beside Kyle as he packed his gear. You don't have to go alone, she said. He looked at her, calm and steady. I do. If anything happens out there, I don't want you hurt. She stepped closer. Then promise me something. What? Come back, Kyle smiled. If I can. They stood together in silence. No words, just two hearts holding on to hope. The ship flew through stars, past planets, past light itself. Days passed, 10 weeks. Finally, Kyle reached it. The Hollow Sun, a giant black sphere floating in space, surrounded by fire and darkness. Inside it, he saw them, millions of shadows, sleeping, waiting, and at the center, the source, a creature made of pure void, no face, no shape, darkness and hunger. Kyle felt fear, but he didn't run. He loaded the final bullet, golden, glowing, humming softly. One bullet for the world. He aimed. The source turned toward him. It opened its mouth, a mouth without end. Kyle pulled the trigger. Bang. Light exploded. The Hollow Sun cracked. Shadow screamed. Every portal across every world shattered. The source vanished in silence, and so did Kyle. Back on Orion, Alira stood on the palace tower. She felt something, a deep silence, a peace that touched her soul. He did it. She whispered. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but he was gone. Weeks passed. Alira ordered a statue to be built in the heart of Zaira, a tall figure holding a rifle, staring at the stars. Below it, written in gold, one bullet for the world. One human who chose to stay. Kipo came from across the galaxy to honor him, the sniper who saved them all. One night, Alira walked alone to the statue. She placed a single flower at its base. I miss you, she said softly. I wish you came back. The wind blew gently. Then she heard a voice behind her. Miss me that much? She turned and froze. Kyle stood there, tired but smiling. His armor was damaged, his body weak, but he was alive. Alira ran to him, tears in her eyes. You came back. He held her hand. I promised. How? The bullet. It didn't kill me, he said. It moved me. Somewhere safe, somewhere far. She looked at him with wonder. You ended the war. He nodded, but I didn't do it alone. They stood together, under the stars, a princess and a sniper, a world saved by one bullet, and a love written in silence.